Hi, this is Dave Michaels at Talking Points. Today I have a special guest, Joe Burton, Chief Technology Officer from Plantronics. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
I wanted to reach out to you because I recently got at the UC Summit. I got a new headset. And first off, I've given Joe and Plantronics crap before for retail packaging, and this is incredible retail packaging. But this is a retail product, so I won't give them crap. This is a very nice product. It's actually got a magnetic face on it. So you open this up, and inside is the new Backbeat Go 2 wireless earbuds. And I got to tell you, I had a pair of the Backbeat original Backbeats, and I thought they were terrible. And I told Joe I thought they were terrible, and he told me that they were working on it and improving it. And and I got these, and I felt that these are one of the best headsets I've come across for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about it. So Joe, is there more to the background story to these before we get into my questions?
Well, there's obviously an awful lot to it, and we can certainly go through your questions. But as you said, Dave, I hope they weren't quite terrible, but I do always listen to your input, along with many others. Yeah, the original version of the product, and I'm sure we'll go through it. I thought was a solid kind of radical attempt at making a highly miniaturized product. And no question about it, with the Backbeat Go 2, we actually addressed many of the things that you and other people talked about. We got battery life longer, sound is even better yet, controls are a little better, and so forth. So
let me explain one of the things why I consider these such a vast improvement is that the Backbeats were just music headphones, and I assumed when I got these, these were just music headphones too, and it took me a little while to figure out what was going on here. But these are also telephony headphones, and so you've got the Bluetooth connection, so you got a wireless headset. You've got a telephone headset that you could use. Because you could easily take off one ear, they're actually reasonable to drive with in some states. And so you got. So I look around here. On my desk I've got the original wired headsets. I've got the Legend headset that I carry around when I'm on the go. I've got the headset I'm wearing, as a matter of fact, the Savvy. And so I've got all these different headsets. And this is the first one that I've really kind of found that really goes to a lot of different markets. And I'm curious, how are you going to? I mean, because I opened this box up and I played with it, and I didn't even realize all this stuff that can do it at first. How do you market a thing like this? This is to a much bigger group than usual.
Dave, it's really a nice time at Plantronics because, as you say, all the headsets that you talked about have their own place. But what we're actually aiming for with this guy is very much the discrete urban listener, if you will. So this is the idea that you're going to drop it around your neck, you're going to use it. Listen to it in the cafe. Listen to it when you're walking, as you say. Pop one ear out and even drive with it if you want. I use it a lot at the office. To be clear, it's a fantastic talking headset, as you said, our communications headset. But it really is a music first. This guy's terrific with music. We think, listening to podcasts, which I do a lot and such. I can take a call on it, but boy, if I'm going to be out in the wind taking calls all day, I tend to drop on my Voyager, as you say.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of a music first, talk second headset, although it's good at both.
Well, obviously, when you say music first, you get the stereo component because people that want music want two ears. Is there something else about music first? Is there a difference in the actual speaker or design of the cup or earbud, or is it just a stereo component that you're referring to?
There's really at least two or three things that come to mind, Dave, for making it a music first. First of all, certainly you got to get to stereo. You got two ears. It has to sound good. Also, the actual sound profile that you put into any headset. Is tuned to one use or another. Ever so slightly, our monaural products, our single ear products, tend to be tuned for very good audio, but they're tuned a little bit more for intelligibility rather than fidelity, if you will. We want to be very sure that it's clear. These things actually have the Plantronics music sound signature. So we've actually gone through and really identified exactly where we want to fit on how we reproduce music. It's a very specific sound signature in this and another product we'll talk about in a minute. And you'll kind of see through the Plantronics stereo products that's a little bit more music-oriented rather than communications-oriented, if you will.
Okay. So another feature that I thought was really surprising, or nice, I should say, about this, and you introduced this on this product, the Legend. I think it's where you introduced it. I guess I shouldn't presume. First time I saw it was on the Legend product. Was, you know, the problem with wireless headsets is sometimes they're not charged. You put them away and you don't use them for a little while, and they die and they're not charged. And so you guys came out with this case that you put the headset in and it charges. And I thought that's pretty smart. And I carry this around in my bag. So the new Backbeats come with a case, and it looks like a flimsy soft case, but it's actually quite hard and protective. And it has also got a charger. You connect the USB here to charge it up, and when you put the headsets in it, they connect with a little cable here, and the headsets charge up. And so I think this is a very clever way of not only protecting your headset, but not only protecting it, but charging it. So is this the new normal? Are you gonna is the charging headset or charging case the new standard for Plantronics?
You know, let me actually phrase it a little bit differently. I think you'll see a lot of charging cases. There's no question, I think, the two things that always scared people about wireless in the past were, number one, the quality of the audio, of course, quality of experience. But really, we found the number one detractor for wireless headsets is battery anxiety. You know, the concern that when you go for it, it's not going to be ready. And we're actually attacking that in three different ways across the product line. You're seeing, first of all, just can we squeeze more and more and more battery life out of the product? I think the first version of this product was rated for 3 or 4 hours. This is rated for 5 or 6. We'll look at another one in a minute that's rated for even more. The next thing we're doing is an awful lot of work around deep sleep. So if you just lay how much does it say?
Here it is. What it says in the box. Are these real or are these exaggerated?
No, actually, we try to tell the truth with it and be a bit conservative. So this one, as you say, says up to 4.5 hours of listen time. I've never had it last less than 4.5 hours. Usually a fair bit more. You'll also notice on this one that standby meaning if you leave it on and you lay it down, it'll stay charged for 10 days. But we've also added deep sleep mode to a lot of them. So if you actually take the time to turn it off, you know, we're claiming 180 days, a half a year of it laying around, and if you pick it up, it'll still have a charge.
So so if I forget to turn it off, is it the same as turning it off? Is it deep sleep kind of that standby off mode?
Well, so if you forget to turn it off, that's the standby. So it'll probably sit there for 10 or 14 days. Okay. But if you actually do turn it off, then it'll stay charged for probably.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So where is the battery? Is there one in each ear, or is it in the control here? Where's the battery?
You know, it's actually pretty fascinating. I'll hold mine up as well. So it's pretty fascinating. You know, I just love the tech in these things. You might imagine I'm a CTO, but there's just so much interesting work that goes into it. What you're looking at on one of the sides is, first of all, you're looking at a custom neodymium 6mm speaker driver on one side that is literally molded around the battery. So one entire cavity on one side is the speaker plus the battery. Okay. And then on the other side, you've got the 6mm neodymium speaker with the PCBA, the circuit board in normal terms, and this is really fascinating. So to make the circuit board
a little higher, Joe, a little higher. Hold that up a little higher.
I'm sorry. So it's a little fascinating. So to make the circuit, so you got the speaker out here, kind of around the PCBA that's in here. So to make the PCBA actually fit in this, literally, we made it with little flexible components. So the PCBA folds up like an origami. So you got on one side you got the battery, on the other side you've got a fan-folded accordion-style PCBA and an antenna all integrated with the speaker. So you wind up with this really fascinating, and then it was even fun because one side is speaker plus battery, the other side is speaker plus circuit board and antenna. But then to actually ever so slightly find out that the circuit board side was still ever so slightly heavier, and of course you don't want these wrong in your ears. So then we moved a little bit of the circuit board actually down into the controller to balance them out just right.
Oh, that's interesting. And I just want to point out to anybody watching that there's a little cover here. That's where the USB port is on the side.
Yep. So exactly. So if I'm not mistaken, the USB. Actually, I don't know if it's on the. No, the USB, ironically, charging is actually on the circuit board side, so the charge is actually running all the way through the cable and going around to the battery on the other side. More than you wanted to know, but it was kind of fun getting that design right. Bunch of really smart folks.
So my biggest complaint about the first version was the cord between the two ears was too short. I put it behind my head, and it was just too short. Maybe it's because I have a big head. I don't know, but some people have accused me of this, and so. This is significantly long. This must be almost twice as long. I feel, not maybe 50% longer. But I've gone back and forth. I want it on the front because the microphone is a little more forward facing if it's on the front, or I put it on the back as well. And it works either way. So, and you said the antenna. I assume the antenna was actually in the cord. So you're saying the antenna is actually in the cup.
It's actually in one of the cups right out on the outside in an interesting way. You know, you talked about the cord, Dave. It's really interesting because you're absolutely right. It is a fair bit longer. We got some feedback from folks that they wanted a little bit more room. But the other thing, if you put it around your neck, that's kind of fun, is on one hand it's a little sticky, so it won't slide off your But at the same time, it's a sticky smooth. So if it's on your shirt, you also don't get a weird sound that'll come up and get picked up by the microphone. So
interesting.
So even building a cord that won't slide off your neck, but also won't affect the sound. A piece of work.
I lost your sound there for a little bit. At least I did. I don't know if anybody else did. Okay, so question about headphones in general and mobile headphones. On a normal headphone, what I call a normal headphone,
sure.
There's always side tone. You can always hear yourself talking. It's the same thing on a telephone handset, and that's because people prefer to regulate their volume and things like that with the side tone. On mobile headsets, that seems to be a technical impossibility for some reason, including these. And so you got both ears covered with these. You got the microphone. You're on a phone call, and I find it a little awkward that you can't hear yourself talking. Can you explain what's going on there? Why is this an impossibility?
Well, so a couple of things there. So first of all, you're absolutely right. I mean, as human beings, we want side tone. As I'm speaking right now to you with no microphone on my head, well, I'm using my ears to modulate my voice and all those things, right? So all of our mobile headsets have some side tone. They have some side tone, and I'll have to listen carefully to this guy again and kind of hear what you're talking about. So a couple of things. All of our mobile headsets have some side tone. As you say, everybody wants it for comfort. Too much side tone can be disruptive, although you want a little bit. You want things like, as you say, you want to hear your voice. If you're out in the wind and there's wind noise, you kind of want to hear it in your ears so you know to turn your head or cup or whatever the heck's going on. So one of the other pieces that's a little bit hard on this guy that might be part of the problem is actually, or part of what you're experiencing, is that, of course, this headset is occluded. Occluded, of course, meaning when you shove them in, it's completely stopping up your ears, right? So because it's completely occluded, you know, we indeed do have to manufacture the side tone, meaning the noise that comes in through the microphone has to be mixed into your into the microphone.
Right.
The one that you're wearing right now, Dave, of course, that is a mono headset. We're doing some side tone, but some of the side tones being generated from
the other ear.
well.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in this case, we got to do all the hard side tone work. And the reason we occluded this one, stopped up your ears, is, of course, volume actually happens by how much air you can move with a speaker, right? So when you go to little bitty tiny speakers like this, well, if you stop up the ear, then you've only got to move a little bit of air back and forth. If you don't stop up the ear, then it's very hard to get to a tiny speaker. I need to actually check. There is some side tone on this guy. The international standard for side tone actually is awfully wide. It says you should add in like 12 to 29 decibels, and that's an awful lot of variability. This product is probably closer to the lower end of that, but we need to. I need to see exactly why you're finding it distracting. Although personally, to your point, if I'm on a long call, if I'm out walking around and somebody calls me, I have a tendency, first of all, if I have it in back, I tend to hold the mic a little bit, which you probably do too. I tend to undo the other ear to give myself side tone.
I see. You know, I actually think there's a bigger market, and this is my advice to you, you know, which a bigger market for a lot of side tone. I tend to wear I tend to wear these headphones or headphones in general when I'm going shopping and when I walk with the dog, and I can't hear car noise when I'm walking, you know, things like that. And I want to be able to enjoy my book or my music or whatever. And I get a little too isolated sometimes. I want to hear more noise. Oh, the classic one is on the dog walk when there's a runner coming up behind you. They always yell on your left, whatever. I never hear them until they pass.
Right.
And so I actually think it's a market for more side tone, but that's a separate. That's not a music first headphone.
No, I think it's very fair, Dave. And this is, you know, we're often a hypothetical conversation, not a feature here. But I do almost see, in some respects, and maybe it's the techie of me, I almost want to be able to, maybe not infinitely, but set my side tone in a couple of modes.
Yes,
you know, there are moments that you want true isolation, tune out the world, but there are many moments that you do not, to your point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, I want to ask you about the control. This has become more or less a standard feature on a lot of headphones, wired and not wired. And the wired ones is kind of interesting because I think Apple decided to add a few extra conductors to the headphone jack, and they managed to signal back to the iPhone or the iPod that way to do play, pause, and things like that. So I'm curious, did Apple just do that and everybody else kind of just looked what they did and followed, or is there actually a standard around that? Where did we get these controls from, or where do you guys get these controls from? Is that something you create or just follow?
Well, you know, a couple things I'll say on that. So if we go all the way back to Bluetooth, this is, of course, a Bluetooth headset. It's cordless. Even though the two buds have a cord in the middle, there's no cord to the device, right? So it's a cordless headset that operates over the Bluetooth standard. Bluetooth has a profile. Profiles mean there's basic Bluetooth, and then you add on little extra things. Bluetooth has a music and video playback profile, which is actually called AVRCP, Audio Video Remote Control Profile. You know, you can find it on Wikipedia or whatever. No great secret. I think it even says it on the box. But AVRCP you can think of as essentially defining almost VCR controls. It defines play, pause, skip forward, skip back, etc. So it defines it. Our manifestation is this little control on here, and it does work subtly different than Apple's. Meaning there's things like, I think we do, we've overloaded the buttons a little. So, of course, the one in the middle is play, pause, no problem.
Yep.
The other ones that are up and down is volume up, volume down. But if you hold it for a long time, then it's skip to the next track, skip to the back track. And of course, I believe Apple's works a little different. I think they do double clicks instead of long holds or some
It,
silliness, if I remember
is
correctly.
it in telephone mode? Is there a mute?
On this particular product, there is not a mute. In fact, the of our Bluetooth products right now, our Voyager line are the only ones that actually have a mute on the headset. So
Okay.
no mute right now.
So another thing about these headsets, and I like it, but I imagine it has some complexities to it, is these headsets talk to me. They speak to me. They actually tell me when they're on. They tell me the battery level. I forget what else it tells me, but there's a voice in here that talks to you. And my question is, what does that do?
Actually, that's not the headset, Dave. It's just you, man.
Oh, it's just me. Oh dear. my question is, how do you deal with the international market then? So, are these available in English only, or are there other flavors?
You know, it depends on the Plantronics product. This particular product right now is a U.S. English only product. Okay.
Okay.
Some of our other products that the Voyager line and whatnot, like this guy, has 5 or 6 languages in, and as you pair it, it asks you for the ones. But this is U.S. only right now.
Okay.
Pardon me. U.S. only English, although it's sold internationally. It sells very well in lots of countries, even though the prompts are English.
So you don't have an international version that just does beeps or something. They're all speaking English.
Not right now. Right now you hear English and you hear a U.S. accented English, where some of the others you can choose, British English or Chinese or German or whatever. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go back to the case here for a second. So obviously there's a battery in here, and so would I be able to charge my smartphone with this if I had to?
Unfortunately, no. One of the, or not very well might be the real answer. One of the things that I think is very confusing about the micro USB standard, the little connector that's on most cell phones and most small consumer electronics, is the connector is the same for all these devices, although there are many different amperages being pushed through to charge.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So I don't remember off the top of my head, but of course, as you said, Dave, this case is, kind of the bottom half is a battery and the top half is storage. But the battery at the bottom has enough battery in it for a charge and a half, 2 charges of this guy, so it's pretty good. But it's actually pushing through the cable at the rate that you need to charge a headset. So I think it's a couple of amps, as opposed to a cell phone that wants more like 5, or an iPad that wants more like 10 to get it charged.
So someone like myself who uses this on a fairly regular basis, because batteries wear out. A couple questions here. Is it better to plug in the headset directly to the USB? Or is it better to always go through the case? Is there already? It came with its own power supply. You can plug it in directly. So that's the first question. We'll go ahead and answer that one.
Yeah. So so both batteries, the one that's in this guy and the one that's in this guy, if you will, are good for many hundreds of full drains and recharges. But are good for many hundreds of full drains and recharges. However, if you're recharging it when it's half or 2/3 empty every couple of days, I really believe that you're going to get tired of it before the battery bellies up on you. I think it's good for several years. So okay. I don't know that there's any real advantage to one over the other, whatever your use case is.
Okay, then the other question is, are either of these batteries replaceable, or is it meant to be the battery supposed to last the length of the life of the product?
Unfortunately, to get this kind of small, the battery's the life of the product. So the batteries are made for several years and then fairly easy to recycle when the time comes, but there's not a customer replaceable battery.
All right. Okay, so my other enhancement is on the back of the case. I want a solar panel, so I can just leave it out.
That's actually fair game to think about. The problem when people ask for solar on the little guys like this is a surface area problem, right?
Sure.
But to your point, if you laid this on the dash of your car or the window or whatever, that's a definite maybe.
All right, good.
Good.
All right, so the next question has to do with this headset, actually. I know this is not a current model, but I think you still sell the Savies. You just upgraded them. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, the Savvy is still our premier line for the office. We still sell a ton of them.
Okay, so this is the Savvy deck that I'm using right now, but I think it's also available in Bluetooth. And the idea is that you've got one device, one headset that plugs into your computer, plugs into your phone, and you can plug it into your cellular phone as well via a Bluetooth connection. And so my question is there any way to use this with, or like a wrong prop, sorry, any way to use this with a Savvy base, and so I could have this headset be connected to everything.
Interesting. So use this guy and get the two or three devices at once. If your PC rings, your desk phone rings, or your mobile phone, you want to just touch and say hello or something, and have the base connect you. So not today. You might imagine as unified communications is taking off and people are getting more and more devices in their life, the idea of one headset to rule it all, drop it on your head and say hello and the right thing happens is becoming an increasingly asked for feature. So I think you'll see more solutions like that from us, but not with this guy today.
Well, okay, so this is the Backbeats 2, so we've got a few more models here. You've started numbering them.
That's right. You usually don't go to a different name till you get to about 5 or 6. Right?
There you go. There you go. All right. So those are my questions on this product. It's available now, apparently U.S. only, in English, U.S. English only, but available around the world. So I just want to wrap up with having you answer a few things about what else you got going on in the labs. What else can we expect from Plantronics?
A couple of cool things I'll talk about. One thing interesting on this one that we've done a great job with that you just talked about as we're leaving. If you look on the back near the bottom, it talks about being having a sweat-proof coating. This P2I.
I did notice that. Of course, I never sweat.
Let me tell you about this. This is a fascinating technology, and there's a demo that's worth doing if I can find it, which I can.
Are you gonna go on a treadmill and start working the sweat for us?
Thank God I brought a glass of water.
Okay.
But here's the deal. So the P2I coating is really fascinating. This is the future of materials, if you will. This and some of our other products, the product all over it actually has a 2-molecule deep coating, okay, that repels water, is fairly scratch resistant, and is even over the electrical connectors. So even as you put the power in and out, it's not scraping off, at least for a long, long time, and really repelling water, including sweat. So this is kind of fun. So this is a little test kit we have that says, I'll hold up so we can see it. You'll notice it says P2I treated on one side and untreated on the other.
Okay.
Right. So I got a good old glass of water here. I'll do some dipping in a minute for you. It's kind of fun. So these are just little pieces of paper, and you'll have to believe me until I see you next that they feel the same. So this is a little piece of paper that says from the untreated side. I'll do this here. So I'm going to take this and actually put it in the water a little bit. And boy, you can kind of see there it's a limp, wet piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to come over here and take one from the P2I treated side, and they feel the same. They're the same wiggly whatever. And we're going to put this sucker in the water. I'll even put it in for a good while here, and we're going to pull it out, and there's no water in it at all. So that's the same coating that we've kind of put all over the product, right? So I mean, this is dry as a bone. So really, really nice for the sweat and so forth. Although this is.
I'm sorry. I understand it was waterproof, but you said the paper was dry. It's not even getting wet?
Nope.
Interesting.
It's crazy. It's actually kind of defies logic. It's pretty interesting. So clearly, if it can defend something as absorbent as paper, then it can do a decent job of defending the little bitty cracks here and there in the product, right? So this product, Dave, is as cool as it is made very much as we said, for kind of discrete urban music. you might get some sweat on it, but it is for walking your dog, hanging out, walking around the streets, listening at home. It's not really for going out and running a marathon. Okay. On the other hand,
that's because it's only 2 molecules, and then you got limits.
Yeah, 3. I mean, yeah, right. But the request very much, as you might imagine, since we came out with something that small, was, boy, what about one that's really tuned around fitness? So we announced a couple of months ago and are just starting to ship. While this is the Backbeat Go 2 that we've been talking about, we actually have the Backbeat Fit product coming out. So I'll actually pull the product out in a minute, but it's the Backbeat Fit, available in this, they call it green, I would call it yellow, and available in the nifty blue version, right? So we've got the 2 versions, if you will. You'll be pleased to know a variation of the same great packaging that you talked about before. So a couple of cool things. So no charge case with this one, oddly enough, because the product has listen time of over 8 hours.
And who can work out for 8 hours? So that's not
reasonable. It'll get you through a day. It'll get you through a day.
I'm done after I go on a flight of stairs. I mean.
So a couple of cool things here. So I'll actually take the green one. So comes with a nice little carrying case again. This case, it's a soft carrying case, not a battery, and I'll explain why in a minute. I'll take this guy out of the carrying case. This is the one I actually have been running with in the dark for like 8 months because I can't show the product, but I also want to test the product.
So this is available today, or is this still about to come out?
This was announced at Mobile World Congress. There are stores that are stocking it. They're actually shipping from our factory. Probably a little hard to find for another month, but they are indeed out there.
Okay.
So this guy you see is got very flexible back cable, very comfortable ear loops that go around your ears, if you will.
Yep.
In back, all of the back that says Plantronics is also a reflective guy that a car headlight catches really, really nicely across your back.
Or a bike light.
Or a bike light or whatever. Absolutely. Now, to your piece, Dave. Now, this is slightly. Well, I'll go here first. You talked about it being occluded and you wanted side tone. So for runners, this was super important. It's not as included. I guess we wanted the natural side tone of not cutting you off. So we did some interesting work here where the ear tip kind of goes down your ear canal about 1/4 inch in a very comfortable way, but it doesn't stop up your ear. You really hear the things around you. Okay.
And this one does not have telephone capability?
Has telephone. It's in there too.
Where is? I don't see it. Where is it?
Well, there's a little microphone port here, and it's not bad. It's about as good as the other one.
Wow.
Maybe a tiny bit worse, but in this case, a couple of interesting things. So I'll put it on. I've figured out how to get it on, and I mean, this guy is so great big buttons I can use with my gloves on this guy up on the 2 ears, so I can take a call, answer, ignore. Volume, and over here I've got the play, pause, track up, track down stuff.
Okay.
So it works
now,
really
now
well.
I'm looking at you modeling that, and I'm worried again about the length of this cable between them.
Okay. On this one, Dave, I believe it is long enough for those of us with decent sized heads, including me and you. This one is purposely a little shorter because we didn't want it flap. So you'll have to actually try it for what it is. But the interesting thing is this case, not interesting, but another clever bit. So I'm actually going to do the transformer thing here. I'm going to turn it inside out, and it's actually a cell phone exercise armband. So it's an armband here that goes on, and it is it is nice and generic and roomy, meaning it's big enough for a Samsung Galaxy 4, maybe not for a Note, but any of your iPad or iPhone or normal Android phones.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Also, there's a cute party trick we won't do here, but the name of the company and the product is very subtly on here. You can barely see it. But if you shine a flashlight on it, it pops. So once
Okay.
again, on your arm, you've got extra reflective stuff. I wear mine on the street side when I run, you know, to catch a headlight. So, you know, available in the yellow, the yellow green, available in the blue, and all the same sweat-proof coatings and whatnot. So I really think our move into from just being a great communications company to bringing more of these discrete entertainment products. There's always more to do, but you know it's underway. We're having a lot of fun.
So what about the last thing? I think the most recent thing we've talked about was all the sensors you're putting into these things, and particularly with the Legend. I keep on holding up the case instead of the headset, but particularly with the Legend, one thing that's really nice about it is that if you take it off, that the phone works again like a normal phone, and when you put the headset back on, it knows to go the Bluetooth back to the headset. And so, what are you putting any kind of sensors into these backbeats, or that's another thing what you meant by music first?
You know, so a couple of answers to that. So absolutely no sensors per se in either the Backbeat Go 2 or in the Backbeat Fit versions that are shipping right now. As you might imagine, we continue working very hard on both the use cases and what sensors are getting the right combination of cheap, small, and power efficient, so you can get them into one of these guys without significantly affecting the cost or the battery life, right?
Yeah, the Fit would be really good for like a heart rate sensor. I guess you can't really do that in the ear, can you? Have you tried that in the labs?
You know, you might imagine the question always is the question always is how well you can do it. So absolutely, positively, you can do it, but it's kind of funny. A couple of the solutions we've worked with on the ear have been, well, it works, you know, it takes your heart rate really well as long as you're sitting around quietly.
I see.
Well, you know, you usually want your heart rate when you're jumping around exercising.
That's my kind of workort, actually. So it works great for me. All right. Well,
continuing to work on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you for joining me on this video conversation, and congratulations. It's a very impressive product, and thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you.